Many jurists have voiced criticism over a decision by the Second Chamber of Turkey's Supreme Board of Judges and Prosecutors, HSYK, to suspend 31 judges and 18 prosecutors on suspicion of allowing illegal wiretapping in the case of Iran-backed terrorist organization Tawhid Salam. The criticism comes in the form of online posts on adlt.org, a popular website used by members of the judiciary to exchange views on their profession. Many members of the judicial community have shown their support for the suspended judges and prosecutors. Judge MU, lists must be organized according ethical principles. Judge MU wrote of the 5 judges and prosecutors who were exempt from the list, there is nothing to be said where the rule of law is obsolete. The arranging of the lists must be done according to ethical principles. A total of 49 members of the judiciary were suspended on the grounds that they would damage the influence and reputation of the judicial body if they should continue their duties. Only judges Mahmut Sen and Mustafa Kemal Özçelik of the Second Chamber of the HSYK were opposed to the ruling. The initial investigation was into 63 members of the judiciary, but 9 of the judges and prosecutors were not added to the list to be investigated. Of the 54 allowed to be investigated, only 49 were eventually suspended. These irregularities have prompted speculation that the list was actually tailor-made to include only judges and prosecutors the government wants to discharge from duty. Prosecutors Mustafa Avolu, Abdullah Mirza Koskan, Razim Ikaltun, Muratnan and Judge Yakup Kaya were taken off the list of 54 individuals. Judge Bekir Altun, a penal judge of peace who is known to have signed off on over 150 documents pertaining to the Tawhid Salam case, was one of the 63 included in the initial investigation but failed to make the list. Judge, we are behind primitive tribal states that we look down upon. Judge MFT wrote on the website that there was no trust in the law left in Turkey, for God's sake are we still arguing whether this was a politically motivated decision? Arguments of lawfulness can only be done in states governed by the rule of law. As a conclusion, as we not a state governed by the rule of law, we have even fallen behind the primitive tribal states that we look down upon. Another judge, SY declared that a suitable punishment could be given to the defendants but only after a fair trial that adheres to the criminal procedures laid out in the Articles of the European Convention on Human Rights, ECHR. But it cannot be accepted that those whose jobs are to uphold the law engage in lawlessness, SY wrote. Judge, I honor those who did not interfere in the judiciary during the Özçelik case. Judge MA wrote, the political governing class in power when the Özçelik case was investigated should be praised. God help those trying to do their jobs if a similar case was to be opened now. The Özçelik case was one of the major turning points in the history of Turkey. In 1996, Hüseyin Kokata, a former police chief, Sedat Bukak, a southeastern clan leader whose men were armed by the state to fight separatist violence, and Abdullah Adil, an internationally wanted mafia boss, were all involved in an accident near the small town of Özçelik while riding in the same car. Judge Karababa, I'm honored to be punished alongside my colleagues. Judge Mahmut Karababa, who presided over the Özçelik and Balyozcu cases, wrote on Twitter recently that he was honored to receive the same punishment as his friends. I just want to ask this, what is the HSYK avenging? Who is it doing this for? Karababa wrote, those who chose to stay independent while a compliant judiciary was being set up course knew they were going to pay a price, but you will not be able to bow our heads. Özçelik is an organization accused of working to topple the democratically elected government in Turkey. Its existence was discovered when the police found a number of hand grenades in a shanty house in the Ümraniye district of Istanbul in 2007. The suspects, who included members of the military, businessmen and journalists, appeared before a court for the first time in 2008 in what many described as the trial of the century. Judge Kazım Kayalı, who is currently presiding over the case of the Kurdistan Communities Union, KCK, wrote on his Twitter account that if a judge with 150 signatures is accepted while a judge with 1 signature is suspended, this proves that the entire investigation is politically motivated. Council of State once ruled to reinstate prosecutor wrongfully dismissed by HSYK. Turkish media has reported that in 2014, the Council of State ruled against an HSYK decision to dismiss a prosecutor due to a failure by the HSYK to take the defendant's defense statement. In a landmark ruling handed down by the 12th Chamber of the Council of State in July 2014, it states that any dismissal was an important decision and could not be given without first hearing the defense statement of the defendant. This ruling can be applied to all forms of administrative punishments, such as dismissals and suspensions. The case began when the Second Chamber of the HSYK twice ruled to transfer public prosecutor Mahmut Bora Akisai without first hearing his defense statement. The Chamber then ruled to dismiss Akisai in January 2013. However, the Council of State overturned the decision due to the Chamber's failure to take a defense statement.